So where did you imagine yourself as a kid on the tractor? What was, where did you see yourself when you were retiring?
Well, at that age, you don't even think about retiring. And at that age, though, I did think about being a member of Congress.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a possibility for me, strong possibility. And it worked out. It became a reality.
I think it's best to tell the story of how I first met you. You probably don't remember it because you probably have so many interactions with so many students, but it was my freshman year and we were in the Academy sports store, and it was right before a football game. It was very cold. It was going to be a very, very, very cold football game, and so my mom and I were picking out Long Johns, and you arrived to also pick out Long Johns because it was going to be cold, and you started talking to me as a normal guy, and I probably honestly didn't know who you were at the time. But afterwards, I think my mom told me, but you talked to me about how I was a student and everything, and then you told me to pull out my phone, and you made me pull out my phone and type in your cell phone number, and you said to call you whenever I needed anything. And I think you probably do that for most any student that you meet anywhere, whether it's on campus or anywhere in the country. So I think my first question is, why is it so important to you to have such a personal, close relationship with every student in the Texas Tech system?
Because I think, main thing is we care. Lee Iacocca, who was CEO of Chrysler, said the ideas and the attitude at the top will transcend throughout the organization. One thing I want to add to your story is that I said, if I can help you in anything, I gave you the phone number and everything, and I said, but if you're behind in your homework, don't call me. I'm not going to do your homework.
And you did say that.
And,
you did.
And I did say that. I wanted to clarify that. If you were homesick, well, I'll help you on that. If you were low on money or something, I'd figure out a way to help you. But, I don't want someone to call me and say, look, I've got a paper that's due tomorrow. Could you write it for me tonight? I can't do that. I enjoy interaction with the students. It's a lifeblood of the university. They're the future. The students I've dealt with at Texas Tech are great. I mean, I really love them. And they've got a great sense of humor. They have a good attitude. They have an attitude of gratitude. They're grateful about everything that's going on, and they're involved. And they're all going to be very successful. I'm telling you, there are a lot of people I talk to at orientation or graduation that are going to be members of Congress. They're going to be great journalists. They're going to be great teachers, doctors, lawyers, all kinds of cross-section of America.
What obstacles have you faced as both a chancellor, but also just as a person throughout your life, and what keeps you striving for honor, for lack of better words?
Well, obstacles, you'll have things that you want to happen in life that won't happen, and there'll be a reason for it. Maybe it's best that you not accomplish certain things. I wanted to be governor, but the voters said no, and that I learned a lot in that race, in that I had an opponent that spent $20 million of his own money, and I went out and raised money from friends and supporters and spent $3 million. And in Texas is a retail political game, in that you've got 17 television markets, and if someone outspends you 6 or 7 to 1, they're going to do a lot better. I'm fortunate that happened because it set my life in another direction that allowed me to do what I think is the best job that I've ever had or ever would have or will have, and that's being chancellor at Texas Tech. So it worked out well.
When you wake up every morning, do you have a set list of goals that you'd like to accomplish that day?
Well, I do. I mean, I think there's two things you got to look at. One is the overall goal of what you want to do. Where are you headed? Where are you focused? And then the short-term goals are nothing more than how do I comply with the long-term goals. And, some people have a long-term goal and they don't think about their short-term goals, and they never get to the long-term goal. but you've got to be there every day, and you got to stay focused on the long-term goal. I think the best I ever saw at being focused on the long-term goal was President Ronald Reagan. When we were trying to pass his tax cut, I was the sponsor of the Honorable Hance Act.
Right.
And he'd have a lot of criticism. There'd be editorials about this guy's just an actor and all kinds of things. But he stayed focused on the big picture of getting the tax bill passed. And I tell my students, when you're around successful people, watch them, see what they do. And he did not deviate one bit from where he thought he ought to be. And he got there. As a member of Congress, what about Texas Tech, and were you still proud of being? And the thing I tell you that, every member of Congress that I knew where I went to school. I was proud of it.
So
And
even
still
though
am.
I obviously lost the law school, UT, it was because Texas Tech didn't
But
have a law school
I'm
yet.
a Red Raider.
Right.
I don't go yell for the Longhorns. I yell for the Red Raiders. And if the Longhorns are playing somebody else that I don't care for, well, I can yell for the Longhorns. But with Texas Tech, I'm going to be big. I'm going to be vocal, be loud for the Red Raiders. And that's where I developed as a person, in my opinion, to allow me to do some things that I got elected to state senate and Congress, and had a successful law practice, did a lot of things. I still say I want them to be able to put on my tombstone, he did not rust. I don't want to think that I rusted. Was that moving around?